murder. Yeah, yeah. Coming up next on Mental Health Marty, we got to stop the senseless killing that is continuing happening in our community with our black men. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? What's going on? It's Martina Sellers, your mental health hygienist, coming to you live and in living color in Southern California. Y'all know how we do it out here where the sun is always shining. That's before the time change. It's dark out here, but you know what? It never rains in Southern California. That's how we do it. Tony, where y'all at tonight, y'all? We're having a good time. Hope you are doing well. Listen, we are in the throes of the holiday season. Can you believe it? And I'm so glad that you are joining us live tonight. Let us know that you're here. Let us know you're listening. We have a great, important show that we have designed for you tonight. And definitely call your uncle, call your brother, call your nephew, call your baby daddy twice removed. Call that uncle, brother, cousin that we don't know if he really in the family, not in the family. We got to have a conversation. Bring your young men to the table. Let's share, like, subscribe, all these things, because we got some brothers on here talking about some real stuff tonight. But let me remind you why we do what we do here at the Mental Health Matters with Marty show. Listen, this show is a psychoeducational show. It is intended for psychoeducational purposes only. We are not a substitute for you seeing your therapist, for seeing your doctor, your psychologist, your psychiatrist, your coach, your mentor, your pastor, your boy, any of those things. We are not a substitute, but we are a supplement, meaning we want to come and help support you along this journey. Because too often, we as men, we as black men, continue to secretly suffer in silence, in the shadow of shame, because we don't know how to speak up, we don't know how to speak out, and therefore we don't know how to live our best life. So we don't want you to continue to do that. We want you to know that this is a safe space for us to have great, real, and relevant conversations that's happening in our communities. However, if you are experiencing any type of crisis, psychiatric emergency, or anything like that, please go to your nearest urgent care or emergency room. Dial 911 or the new mental health hotline at 988. It is very helpful because your mental health does matter. Now, how do you engage with us in the conversation tonight? How do you engage? I'm so glad you asked that question. How do you engage? Check us out on the YouTube page, Mental Health Marty. If you're looking at us from Facebook, from any other media stream outside of YouTube, we will not be able to immediately see your questions, responses, or anything. So if you have a question, we want you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. How do I do that? I'm so glad you asked. Listen, hit that thumb button, hit subscribe. You'll hear that ding. And every time we go live, you will be informed of that. And because we want to help make sure we are making a difference. Jeff, my brother, how you feeling? Good to see you. Hope DMV is treating you. Thank you for always supporting and being one of our faithful followers of the Mental Health Marty show. Listen, we have a great show for you tonight. We cannot, in November being Men's Health Month, November. I like to also say it's no nonsense November as well. I'm not putting up with any more nonsense. I know we do this no shave. I'm going to say no nonsense. Shave, but don't put up with the nonsense. And in this Men's Health Month, we want to talk about the continued trauma that is continuing to happen in our community due to gun violence. Y'all, we got to wake up to this. There's this violence and this trauma that continues to happen in our communities. And until we address the trauma head on, we will not be able to heal from this aftermath. And the post-traumatic stress, the PTSD, will continue to live on in our community. And y'all, we got to stop this madness, and we got to stop killing each other. Shout out to my brother, Rob Sellers, on our Tuesday Talks, Hot Topics, the first Tuesday of every month. He said it like this, and I'm going to quote. Bob said, listen, we are doing the job of the KKK and other hate institutions and other hate organizations that specifically hate us because we are killing ourselves. They don't even have to do the job because we are hurting, killing, and destroying ourselves. If you agree with that, let me know what you think about that comment. Are we really killing ourselves, or do we not have self-love? What is going on in the Black community with our Black men? Is it a sabotage? Is it a conspiracy theory? What is happening? The police are killing us. We're killing ourselves. We're putting ourselves at risk constantly. Why are we doing this? Why are we continuing, just like in the great passage from Africa to America, that we killed a nation that drowned in the sea? Are we killing a nation with the innocent bloodshed that continues to happen on our own shores, in our own backyards, in our own communities? We got to stop the madness and create peace and love on each other. What are your thoughts? That's my opening. So joining us tonight is my brother. This brother, listen, I never forget this. I tell this story every time he comes on the show. This brother is so cold with his podcast. He taught me a few things, and I'm still trying to catch up with my brother. He's this young cat. I applaud these young brothers on here that's coming on here giving us knowledge. These brothers have done the job, done the due diligence of studying, taking their licensure exams. These brothers are no joke. Coming from Nashville, Tennessee himself, none other than my brother from another mother, none other than James Bush. James, what's going on, my brother?
What's going on, Marty? What's going on? What's going on?
What's happening, brother? You know what? Your swag just, I'm going to grow up and be like you, my brother. Yes. Your shirt says, I am what? I am somebody. What's your shirt say, brother?
I am Black history every
day. That's right. James, how you living? How's life treating you? What's been happening with you in the Midwest?
Well, we a little bit of the South as well, too, Marty. But, I mean,
yeah, you
busy.
are.
I'm preparing for a conference and then tackling topics such as these. And we're working with Black men and some of the plights and some of the misinformation that we've been suffering from so long. I mean, it's amazing when you called me about this last week, and I just said to myself, I'm like, all this is the perfect storm. This is the resultant of a lot of negative seeds that have been sown over the years that have not been reaped, that have not been harvested, not been addressed. And so because of that, we've got to do something about it. Now, I'm not here like Jesse Jackson or the Reverend Al Sharpton or anything like that. I want to come at it from a scientific mode. With my dear brother, the dear doctor that's coming on next, man, we all know about epigenetics, and how stress hormones are affected in the trace cell, how sometimes we can fear those things that are in our offspring, can fear those things that we had in previous generations of past. And so also, too, if you want to break it down from a common standpoint, it's that we have not been taught how to disagree. We don't know how to handle conflict. Because a lot of times that's at the root of a lot of these shootings and all these different things that people are going through trauma. They're hurting and they don't know what to do with that pain.
That's good.
Or what to do with that disdain for one another. So because of that, what do? We're in a survival mode because we've been impacted. Our community, our culture has been impacted so much. We're in a mode where, look, it's going to be you before it's me. And that is what I believe is a part of the puzzle that is leading to what is taking place in our society today. Oh, yeah, and by the way, too, in the 80s, there weren't a lot of men because the crack epidemic, 3 strikes, the crime bill that came as well, too. So the number of things that have happened in our society historically have prepared us and perpetuated what we are seeing today.
I totally agree with you, man. And we can't forget about the 70s, too. Now, I'm older than you, my brother. You know, you're still young. You're still young, buck. But the 70s, when black men were really encouraged by the system, by the social services and all that, to get out of the house because black men could not get jobs, but their families could not qualify for any type of social support if the husband was in the house, and so the husband was forced to be out of the house so that he could, so that his family could be taken. So can you imagine the psychological devastation that happens in the mindset? Because we as men, one of the primary things that we pride ourselves, right, wrong, or indifferent, you don't have to agree with it, is that we are providers and we are protectors. And when you take those things out, some of the basic things of how we define ourselves a lot of times, especially when we're talking about the hierarchy within the family structure, and you take those things away from us, you're taking away, stripping us of our self-esteem, you're stripping of us of our worth, what we think is value in a lot of senses of that. And so it's hard for us to rebound and recover from that. So you're right. So now you deal with the whole crack epidemic in the 80s and all that type of thing, and then all the other constant epidemics that continue to happen in the 90s, the 2000s, and so forth, that have drastically affected not just the black man, because we cannot talk about just the black man without addressing how it's affected the entire infrastructure of the black family.
Well, let's also look at this as well, too. I mean, Tia Martinez and her work on the school to prison pipeline. And we know that when we take young boys out of the classrooms, how there is a propensity for them to end up with felony records, later on down the line. Yes. So what education are they getting? They're getting homicidal, they're getting assault education, homicidal education, assault-like education. And that is birthing these maladies and this violence that we have a lot today. Also, too, if you want to go a little step further, we can talk about as far as, man, where the ADHD medication and a lot of the things that go along with that, how young men are being misdiagnosed. And so when you have that, we become a nation that is full of, I guess, pill poppers, or so a pill will cure it all. But we know evidence-based protocols teach us that is not necessarily the answer, and the way for our young women as well to be able to get through some of those mental health disorders. So again, we have a lot of things that are colliding in our community. And if they have this statement that say, readers are leaders. But when you're not educated and when you have a lot of this misinformation that's going along, then where do you go to find those answers that are needed? Also, too, I mean, just look at the standpoint, 50% of all incarcerated either have a mental health disorder or a substance abuse disorder of some sort. So where is their help? Where is their aid? Where is their need to be able to have those blockages and those stops before that level of inhibition, I'll say, before they are to pull that trigger or to hurt that brother or to hurt that sister or the interpartner violence or anything along those lines. So there's a lot that's going on in our society today.
Yes. You're absolutely right. And I love what you said, even about some of the other things, talking about children. And I want to bring in our next guest with here, because he is definitely the one of the experts, I like to say, when it comes to our children being involved in their lives and understanding. I call this brother the hip hop the hip hop therapist that's right there. This brother's so cold with us. He teaches young people about the lineage and the history of hip hop and how it applies to our lives, and teaching it from a positive, from a narrative therapy. Come on, he taught me all that, narrative therapy point of view, and taking that and flipping the script even on our young people and those that coach and teach our young people. Because I'm going to go back to, you're absolutely right. When it comes to especially our young black boys, they are misdiagnosed and over medicated, because we don't often have the proper access to make sure that the diagnosis is correct in that. So without any further ado, coming from New Brunswick himself in the Jersey area, none other, this brother is so cold. This is the king of hip hop therapy, none other than Dr. S himself. Dr. S.
What's going on, Marty?
Brother?
How you doing, brother? How's it going? Feeling great. Can't complain.
Man,
I got energized from that opening, but also my brother's dropping so many jewels. I'm excited to be. This is such an important topic, man. I'm excited to be here and share.
Yes. Dr. S, first, I want y'all to know, he does not have an honorary doctorate. This brother has an earned doctorate, meaning he's done the work. And I am so proud of both of these brothers, because in the field, we already know that as black male therapists, we only make up 1% of the field. So these brothers had to go into the classrooms, and we had to go into classrooms when often we were the only black man in there defending how mental health looks in our communities. And then Dr. S, yes, I say doctor because I want to respect this brother for the work that he's done. I want to respect this brother for the dissertations and the research and all that he's done in that. He went the extra step to make sure. So whenever a brother has earned his doctorate, that's why I make sure I call this brother doctor, because he has done it, and out of respect for the work you have done. So Doc, I appreciate you. Much love. Listen, tell us about your passion, because you've done a very different take on therapy from a narrative point of view. And I love that your passion for hip hop and what that looks like. Talk to us about that. Miss Shamila, how are you? Thank you all for joining us. But Dr. S, talk to us about that.
Yeah, Marty, I just think healing is so important for our community in so many different ways. Intergenerational healing, and we need it desperately right now.
Yes.
But one of the things I sort of shifted not away from, but in terms of doing clinical work, and I've been in private practice for a long time, but I wanted to get into this space of educating our young people about the importance of healing and wellness. And I wanted to demystify it. I wanted to take the stigma and shame out of it, because some of the things that you guys already talked about is so true. We're at the point right now where we're essentially seeing the same things over and over and over again. We know the cities in which gun violence happens. We know the results of gun violence. So what happens is we do a lot of ruminating. This means we know what the issues are. We know what the problem is, and we praise and we give energy to the problem. But we don't do a lot. Honestly, we haven't done well in terms of solutions. And I think that is, believe it or not, I believe part of it is intentional. I believe if we are certain things are being withheld from us, because as you said in your opening, we are doing the work. So division, not get into the root causes of the issues that are causing us to have these issues. We are seeing the continuation of the same cities are having gun violence, the same challenges and issues around our education system, poverty, lack of resources. All these things are taking place, and all we're doing is like putting us in this little box in which we're fighting each other for resources that we don't even own. And that's the thing. We have to get back to what are we going to do for ourselves? Because if we're waiting for somebody to swoop in and help our communities, Marty, I don't believe it's going to happen. It hasn't happened to this point. So we really need to do something different than what we've been doing. And our solidarity collectively is what it's going to take to do that. We need to come together and do this work ourselves.
Yes. Dr. S, that is so powerful because you're right. We got to go back to Wakanda and make our own. I know that Wakanda is a fictional, but we got to go to the real one. Don't play with Wakanda, baby. Wakanda. We up in this piece.
Whatever gets people to come together, that energizes them. What we can do the work, we got to do the work.
That's right. We got to do the work. I'm of the point now. I'm older than you guys. You know, I'm 56, and so I stopped waiting for the superhero to come and rescue me, and I had to become, if I can say it this way, the superhero myself. And come and save and change the trajectory of my own life, and stop waiting for a program, stop waiting for someone else to make a difference in me. I had to make that intentional choice to make the decisions and stop and begin the healing in my own life. James, talk to us about what Dr. S has really said. This brother is spitting knowledge already, and see, Dr. S, don't let James fool you, because this brother will spit out a soliloquy that will just blow your mind.
I hear it already.
Yes. He be chilling.
To be truthfully honest with you, man, he's right on point with it. And I think that it's far too long that, and it's amazing you mentioned that movie of the Black Panther and Wakanda, because the concept and the premise is right there. Is that we have to begin as African Americans in this country to begin to do for ourselves and begin to right the ship and reverse some of the negative effects that have happened to us since we got on this rock called America.
Come on.
We have to begin to do those things. We have to begin to police our own and be more intentional when it comes to educating our young people. We have to be one about when it comes to helping some of our couples stay married and lowering that single parent rate. We have to be the ones to do those things. But again, it takes us being intentional efforts. And unfortunately, when you don't have that, you have those things of chaos. You have anarchy. You have these people that, I'm going to go for myself. I'm going to do those things that matter to me because it's a survival method, survival mode. One of the things I learned about the opioid epidemic is that a lot of people, they weren't running around necessarily popping the pills. They would gather the pills and they would go and sell the pills. Why? Because they didn't have enough money within their cupboards to be able to pay for the car note, to be able to pay for the daycare, to be able to do other things that were necessary and needed. So what I'm saying is that these are some of the things that they would go and take from another person in order so they can self-soothe themselves.
Yes.
As African Americans in this country, we have to begin to say, it's not just about me, it's bigger than me. That's why I started out with one of the biggest things that we needed to do is learn how to disagree. A lot of times when they teach us in church, if you're in chaos, if you're in disagreement, then it's of the devil and then it's wrong. No. Conflict of itself does not have to be negative. It can be enlightening. It can be empowering. Why? Because you are learning about another individual per se and how they believe and how they think. You want to know that person's true and authentic self. But unfortunately, if you have someone that is wearing a lot of masks and is hiding themselves, then unfortunately, when that emotional place comes out of them, it may end with a bang.
But you're absolutely right, because learning that, oftentimes in my sessions, I tell them that on the other side of conflict is oftentimes peace and understanding, and now I get to know you better. And Dr. S, I know you have boots on ground when you're dealing with your now tell me that when you're in the school system, you are teaching them about that. Talk to us about how you deal with conflict resolution and telling our young kings and our young queens about how to resolve that we can agree to disagree and still love each other.
Wow, that was spot on. Because I'm dealing and having these conversations every day. We were just talking about this today when we were talking about the situation. Rest in peace to Takeoff, 1/3 of the Migos.
Yes,
we were having this conversation around. I asked the young people, how can we cure gun violence? And one of the things that was said is that, Dr. S, we can't cure it at all. It's too many guns. We can't get rid of the guns. We can't, stop the violence. And this is young people talking back at me. And what I said to them is that the thing we're missing is this idea of emotional intelligence. If I have a conflict with you,
come on,
even in the event that you have a gun and I have a gun, if I have emotional intelligence and I have an understanding of the importance and value of life, compassion, empathy, and love, just because we disagree, my first thought and notion isn't to pull out my weapon to take your life. I understand that guns, and that's a whole nother conversation. We can have that conversation as well. This is very strategic, the amount of guns, the lack of education, the lack of mental and emotional health, intelligence, all these things being withheld from us. I would even go further to argue this, that our young people have been and are being programmed and conditioned to do the opposite of what we're talking about right now. They are being programmed and conditioned to take the life of their brother. Even though when you look in the mirror, that person is your brother, looks just like you. But it's so, and I'm going to use a word, it's a strong word. To me, it's so sinister. It's invisible. The way it's done is like, I'm going to give you lack of resources. I'm going to give you a very dangerous weapon. I'm going to push you to think that you are inferior to the person standing next to you or less than. I'm going to make you put that mask on so you can't be vulnerable, so you can't be your true self. And I'm going to make you understand or make you think that the person is your enemy, when in fact that is your brother or sister that you're looking at. You're fighting over resources. So before we put new programming on top of old syntax, we need to deprogram, unlearn so many things, and relearn, unlearn and relearn that we are kings and queens. This is where we come from. We come from royal lineage. So that's what I do in the schools. I teach young people their value, or not teach them, I help them discover their value and their worth. But I encourage them, and we do role playing. We have these real conversations about what can you do instead. If this is my brother or sister, why do I want to take the life of this person? I value you just like I value my own. So I asked the question, Marty. I say, where's the love? That's my question. Where's the love? Where's the love that we have for one another? We can get super complex and super clinical. I love it. But at the same time, let's get to the basic cores of it. Where's the love?
Yes. Shamila, thank you for your comments, and please like and share. Y'all want to hear the comments, but I agree with you, and you're saying we got to get to the basics of loving ourselves. What I love about what Huey Newton and the Black Panther Party did, they did the basic and said, listen, I love, James, your shirt says, I am Black history every day. They reminded our communities that we are kings and queens, that we are Black history every day, that we have the ability to be self-sustaining and taking care of ourselves. I don't know if you guys saw the latest on Black wealth and power, Black wealth. If we as Black people would put our own monies and wealth together, we make the 8th largest economy in the world, that is even greater than the economy of Spain. That blew my mind. That was mind-blowing, that we as a Black folk here in America, if we just but we know what happened. We won't talk about what happened in Oklahoma when we did that Black Wall Street, when we tried to do that, but we cannot allow systems to continue to stop us from doing what we need to do, becoming self-sustaining and taking care of ourselves. Not meaning we won't take something from someone else. If you're going to offer it to us, I will take the grant. I'll take the $10 million grant that's going to help my community. But I'm going to also make sure that I'm recycling those dollars into helping my brothers and my sisters in my community to make sure we're helping each other out. James, talk to us about what Dr. S has definitely dropped. Again, y'all dropping some knowledge on here today.
He said the big thing is there. He's talking about emotional intelligence. I mean, it's a level understanding of being self-aware of who you are as a man, you know, but also what community. I call it, what crop did you come out of, you know?
Right.
And the basics of that is that we have to get to a point where we have enough self-love and community love for one another to where you want to see your community prevail. Sounds like we don't have a lot of that. Because again, we're in survival mode. We're in survival method. You know, it's man the first one to. It's very competitive, a competitive spirit, competitive nature, and a lot of that, I will say, that did take place in slavery. We mentioned earlier epigenetics,
right?
You know, what those traits have been passed down to one another. You know, I mean, we all know about. Well, many of us know about Willie Lynch and some of the laws and everything that went along with that too, as well. So my point is that we have to get to a point where we make that hard right, where we choose love more than hate. We choose to be inconvenienced more, as opposed to just saying, well, this generation is gone. It's always going to be like this. Well, that's a defeated attitude. And to be honest with you, we don't come from a defeated people.
Yes, I hear you. But how do we teach Black men how to love ourselves, and that the current situation we're in does not define who we are? Because we are built so much of our own reputation, our own self-love, our own on what we do, as opposed to who we are. And if I don't know who I am, because I love what you said our EI, emotional intelligence, and this whole thing of self-love and knowing who you are as a man. But if I don't know who I am, how do I then begin to develop this? And I want to get to what you're saying, Dr. S, because I think you're absolutely right. We don't talk enough about practical tools and practical steps to getting to where we need to be. So I'm going to bring it practical. How do we, because I think a lot of we as Black men, one of the first things I ask Black men when they sit on my couch is, who are you? And they tell me their pedigrees. They tell me all the compliments. They tell me, I said, I can read the intake form. I got a degree. I got 2 degrees. You know, I can read that. Come on. But who are you? And too many of us don't know who we are, that emotional intelligence. So Dr. S, how do we train and teach, especially with those young people that you're dealing with on a daily basis, to how do we, one, develop emotional intelligence, and how do we even teach them to love who they are? Because I think a lot of the killing is rooted in self-hatred.
It definitely is. And that is the master question. Because what happens is the blockage has been, I believe it's been put in place to prevent and hinder those same Black men that you're asking that question from accessing those answers. So we have to chip away, we have to take away that blockage, tear all that down, and then build our young men back up, utilizing, going all the way back to the beginning, teaching where they come from, getting them to understand where their existence really started at. A lot of things you see in social media and seeing in our world today, what's going on, is a product of that, because our young men and our brothers don't know even how to go there. So a lot of times, even our schooling, our training, our educators, they don't know how to take our young brothers back to that place and get to the root causes. So again, this is about breaking down, tearing down, and building back up, and doing it out of a place of grace, doing it out of a place of compassion, not judgment and tearing our men down, but tearing down all the conditioning, the things that they've been through, the things that have been intentionally put into the education system, into the resources, into the lack of resources, into the community, into a criminal justice system that intentionally targets them, because they're engaging in these issues, as the brother said, in terms of being in survival mode. Do you know where we come from? We didn't come from a place of survival. If we go to the beginning or origins, we had things in abundance, things that were stripped away from us. But again, that's why we love material things. We love the jewelry. We love the cars. We think that sort of defines who we are. The degrees, the titles
You're
after your
talking, Doc.
name. At the end of the day, let's get back to the root and who we are.
Yeah.
We are greatness.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what it is, helping our young men affirm that for themselves to the point into which they believe that. And when you believe that, you start to behave, you start to move differently. Because now the things that they said about you, false, lies, come from kings and queens in a place of royalty. That's who I am. I'm going to conduct myself the same. In fact, my brother is also a king. So I'm going to treat him as such. My sister is also a queen. I'm going to treat her as such as well. So this is how we sort of get to that. We have to have these conversations, and we have to, again, do it out of a place of love and compassion and grace as well.
I love that. But how is it, and I'm being just, how can I demonstrate and show grace? How can I demonstrate and show love when it's never been shown to me? Or even as far as I can recall. James, talk to me about that, because I think that's something with and we as brothers a lot of time struggle with. How can I tell you, brother, I love you, I got your back, dog, I want success for you, but yet I'm hurting, and that same grace that I'm extending to you, I have not felt. I don't even know what that feels like. I don't know what it looks like, because I have not experienced it, because everyone else is treating me like I'm like crabs in the barrel, always trying to pull me down. Talk to me, James. I saw you rev up, my brother.
Well, any relationship, man, you're going to take a risk. It takes a risk to love someone. It takes a risk, man, to love yourself, even despite of the circumstances and situations you find in your own communities. But the thing is, if I'm on my way to Southern California and I'm going north, I'm going the wrong way. So my destination is not my compass, my map is off. I've got to start doing something different. So let's get practical, as you said, Marty. Let's begin to take better care, love on ourselves, take better care of ourselves, get our checkups, get our dentist appointments, our doctor's appointments. Let's begin to go and educate ourselves, man, inform ourselves, impact ourselves. Things on the basic level. Let's begin to pour back into our communities. And the thing is that it's not good. That's good. One person has to do this. It's many of us do that, because I learned back in basketball, one person can punch you and, man, they can just make a little dent. But if you pull 5 team players up together in one fist and they hit you, that's going to do something to you. And so my point being is that we all have to go and do something different than we have been doing before. And all of us, man, can do better. And that's the thing, as men, black men, all of us can do better. All of us can be that example and that model to show those young brothers to say, hey, look, man, that's not how you get the job right there. This is how you get the job. Yeah. That's not how you treat the woman. This is how you treat the woman. This is how you love on her. This is some of the things you do say to her. This is some of the things you don't say to her. Again, these are practical steps that our young men need to see from their ancestors and their elders. So that why? So that, man, we can begin to turn this thing around and to begin to show and create an atmosphere, a culture that is more cognizant and informed of what love is as opposed to what it's not.
Ooh. Right. Dr. S, I told you that, brother. He just kind of just chill in the back and just kind of But no, I agree with you. We have to and learning to love ourselves, because we've been I know we've been conditioned to believe that self-care, taking care of me, loving me, making sure I'm in the right, not just physical health, but mental health and emotional health. Because if these two are not in there, that mental and emotional health rather, it's going to erode the body. We know people who really their mindset has destroyed their physical bodies and how that displays out. But Dr. S, how do we let's go back to this whole topic today, trauma from the violence that our young people experience, trauma from whether it's primary, secondary trauma that they're experiencing. But how do we help these young people? How do we even help us old dogs heal from the trauma that we have lived through experience and all of that. What do you suggest? How do we even begin that process of healing from trauma?
Well, I think a lot of times people fear what they don't understand, and that's what the mental health, my program is really about: education.
Yes.
I think we need to teach people about trauma. We need to have more conversations around trauma. We need to understand what happens when you experience, and teach people what happens when you experience a traumatic event, how it impacts your emotional wiring. Some people don't understand why their wiring, emotional, the things take place after traumatic event. Why am I more anxious? Why do I get angry? Why am I more upset? Why am I sad and depressed? Teach people these things. Teach our brothers these things so they understand. And the impact from generations. This is intergenerational trauma.
That's
some
good.
of the things we've been doing, our wiring is a result a lot of times of things that even our parents and their parents have experienced. But we have a great opportunity here, and I love talking to my young men about this. We have a great opportunity to break this thing open, and I don't want to put pressure on our young people in terms of like breaking the cycle. We hear that all the time. You understand? You only need to put a little crack. You need to put a little crack in that cycle. If you can put a little crack in that cycle, that's a little thread of difference in terms of your thinking, the way you see things. You understand that you have an opportunity. Healing can come in there, and it sort of spreads because we understand that there's a disease of violence. We need to create this momentum of healing. This momentum of healing gives us this energy. And again, Marty, just creating these safe spaces, man. Creating these spaces where we allow our young brothers to be courageous and brave. Everybody's the tough guy.
Yeah.
I feel you. It's okay to be tough. Do you know how much courage it takes to heal? You know how much courage and bravery it takes to go to that place of vulnerability? Can we teach our brothers to shift that energy not towards each other, but shift that energy towards, I want to access what I deserve. I deserve to heal. So now I'm going to go to that courageous, all that energy and bravery I got. Let me tap into that to access what's available for me. And what I want for me, I want for my brother. So therefore for my sister. Good. So that trauma, enough of this. Because at this point, we are affecting generations to come, but also what's happening to us on a daily basis. These micro things that we experience. Can we also talk about trauma is not only violence? Trauma is also the separations, the breakups, the job, the firing of a job, the issues you have in your community that we never call traumatic, but they are traumatic. When your dad, when you don't get to talk to your dad because he's incarcerated, when you can't talk to your mom. These are trauma things too that we don't talk about. So trauma not only is the gun violence, the trauma is the system in which they put us in that could be just as deadly as the gun that we pull on each other.
Ooh, but James, is this brother dropping so much knowledge tonight that it's just listen? Y'all brothers need to be on CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS.
They don't want us on there.
They don't want us on there. They don't want it. No, because we're talking about. That's right. We're not going to give up. We're going to continue to do this. And that's why, man, I love you brothers because you guys don't mind coming in. I call you brothers last minute. I call James like, bro, I got a show starting in 5 minutes. Jump on. He like, Marty, all right, just because it's you. But I love because we love what we talk about and this whole healing process and helping people heal, helping our young people to heal. And that's what I love. And I love your mental health therapy and that what you do because you're absolutely right. But and I love what you talked about the vulnerability. I have been talking to this young. He's not young. He's in his 50s. This cat for over 3 years, and we still can't get past because of the toxic masculinity roles that he has. Because he says being vulnerable then makes me weak. And Marty, I ain't a punk. I'm like, dog, you the punk because you won't be vulnerable. You the punk because, and I have to talk to him like this, and he hears me. And I don't say, and trust me, I don't talk like this to all my clients, but I have to do a lot of just direct confrontation, a slightly of gestalt on him just to challenge him, and that's not even my method of that I like going, but I have to challenge. I say, cat, I almost said the N word. Said, Negro, listen, because you. Because he pushes me there. I'm like, because you refuse to be vulnerable, because you put up this, and I said, here's the sad part. That's not even you. You're allowing what society has deemed that how we should act to separate you from who you really are. And so you struggle with that. So you're constantly in this traumatic and this survival mode because you refuse to be vulnerable. You refuse to share how you're really feeling because you're afraid that it might make you look weak. And that's where we have to break down that negative stereotype within how we even view ourselves. James, talk to us about that whole vulnerability. And I'm going to throw back out your word, your epigenetics, as this brother has been talking through, because he throw out some big words.
Ain't big, man. But no, man, I think that again, it goes back. You made a great point or so, is that we have such this innate sense of fear of being vulnerable with one another because of what it will mean as far as survival and what we do for our families and our communities. And so again, it's not looking at the total world view. It's just that main street view of life and what it can do for us, what it can do for our immediate family. And again, that same mentality, that same viewpoint, that is why we are somewhat of why we're in the situation we're in right now.
Yes.
And again, I love this statement that someone says that been telling our men, it's okay not be okay. It's okay to be able to go and talk to someone about what is going on inside of your mind. I'd rather have those types of conversations with you as opposed to seeing you on the other side wearing an orange jumper with letters on the back.
That's
of
right.
it. So necessary, so needed. But we haven't been, as my brother said earlier, programmed to be able to do that. We've been taught that, no, you don't have an outlet. You don't have trained individuals in your communities that can help with that. All of them are chaotic and animalistic. And so because of that, we have to respond and occur in a certain form and fashion. But now we are doing things a little bit different. And the thing is that we have to continue to keep this momentum going. We have to continue to have these conversations. I call them man-versations. We have to continue to be able to speak those things out there and in positive and empowering one another. Why? So that then the next Takeoff doesn't have to die like he has. So that the next Virginia football player doesn't have to die like they had to die.
Yes, Brother Devin.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah, and I heard a statistic that came out, I think it was on the, I'm a Good Morning America fan, and they talked about one of the number one places that Black men receive therapy is in prison. And why is it that we have to go to prison in order to get the necessary help that we need? And that's why us having these conversations, and that's why on my show I'm very strategic about bringing Black male therapists on here, because I want the world to see there are Black men out here who are damn good in the profession. They are doing the job, and that there are men out there who look like us, who understand like that us, who is this hip hop king and can break down lyrics and just tell you the history of hip hop, because I think this generation now has missed the step of how hip hop was birthed and why it was birthed out of. So I don't want to leave out before, because I know we're getting close to wrapping up. Dr. S, tell us about your program with Mental Hop and why this is so important. Man, if I become hit the lotto, brother, I'm just gonna dump some money in your lap, because I think this needs to be worldwide, bro, because it is so powerful.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's my passion, Marty. I grew up doing hip hop, making music, love the culture, the essence, the foundation of it, the creative expression of what we talked about, narrative therapy and telling your story. And like most things in our society, when people with wrong intentions get a hold of it, what they do is exploit the opportunity to capitalize, to make money off of our trauma. So what happens is now the trauma becomes the way in which we can make money. But people who have never engaged in that traumatic stuff, people who do not have to go to jail and do not go to jail, sit at other places collecting money while we tell our story of hip hop and culture and jewelry and cars and killings and murder, sex, violence, and drugs, all those things that are detrimental to us, they get to access that. So what I do is I teach young people, and we have conversations around where was hip hop founded? Well, it was a space for us to be vulnerable. It was an opportunity for us to share our story, share our plight, share our struggles, share our challenges. But I don't like when we stay in that place. So there has to be another part of this story. Because what happens is hip hop artists love sharing their struggle. I love when hip hop artists tell us about their success. Tell us how they went from surviving to thriving. What did you have to do differently to get to that place? So that's what I talk to young people about, is being critical listeners, critical consumers, being mindful of the stuff you're taking in. What kind of energy are you pouring into yourself? The music. I don't want to hear 9 o'clock in the morning about taking the life of somebody that looks like me because this is entertainment. I love hip hop. But this is the reason why programming, radio stations are allowing this to happen and allow this music
to talk to us,
go across the airways, where we know there's so many artists that speak on other things too. There's no balance in the music. You know, it's essentially radio programming, putting us in a place. And again, until we make a change, the culture belongs to us. So until we make a change and we decide to do something different, then this will continue. So that's what it's really about, helping young people understand that there's power in your story. There's power in rewriting your story. And that's what I love, is that we continue to rewrite and we put healing into this next chapter. And that's what I want to do and help our young people do.
Man, that's beautiful, man, and I love and from the first time I saw you on social media, I'm like, this cat has got some powerful stuff. That right opportunity, he has to blow up, because you're meeting the young people right where they're at. I'm grandpa now, so they ain't gonna listen to me, but they were definitely gonna listen to you. And man, keep doing what you're doing, James. And I love what you talk about, especially with Black love and teaching our brothers how to love on each other and all that. Dr. S, I know you're a family man. You have a beautiful family, beautiful wife, beautiful girls, all of that. James, and then a lot of times we don't know how to maintain healthy relationships, which is also traumatic, because we're taking that trauma into these relationships, and we're wondering why we're going from, can I just say, from bed to bed to bed, from woman to woman to woman, from baby mama to baby mama to baby mama, and not dealing with that. Talk to me, James, about that real quick, because I know that's one of your passions, is helping Black men in sustaining healthy relationships by loving on ourselves first, then we can love on our woman.
Again, it's one of those things where I said in a post not too long ago, if a person doesn't find peace within themselves, it's hard for them to be peaceful with other individuals. So if that person internally is chaotic, then there's no way that they can be peaceful for another individual, much less their female counterparts. What I propose and what I try to teach is for us to get more in tune with ourselves, learning some of our triggers, learning some of those parts and those blind spots within us, those things we didn't learn in childhood, so that we can be better, not only for ourselves, not only for our female counterparts, but for our communities as well. And I think that is what's something that is needed in mass amounts. Because why? Because we have the reduplication. It's like dysfunction is duplicating, reproducing dysfunction over and over and over again. And no one is living with the standard to say, hey, you know what? We really don't have to do that. Now, granted, we all like sex. But guess what? If I go and I jump from her to her to her to her to her to her to her, how is that helping me in my purpose? How is that helping me with teaching the younger individuals. And what is it ultimately doing to me when I do get to the age of 50 and 61 years old and I want to settle down? What has my brain been through? What are the striations? I mean, the brain does have a lot of plasticity about it, but at the same point in time, we have to remember that it's going to take more energy to change that mindset within as you're older as when you're younger. Okay, and then also too, when we're medicating ourselves at a younger age, when we're smoking weed, when we're popping pills or anything along those lines, we have to ask ourselves, are we able to handle the stressors of life that will come? Not they may come, they will come. Or are we just trying to numb ourselves and medicate them? So those are some of the things that I think that we all, everyone on this panel, are trying to propose to our young men so that they can be better versions of themselves. Not perfect, but better versions.
That's right.
And when we do that, we will see some change.
I totally agree with you. And I agree with Dr. Rita Walker out of University of Houston when she talks about that too often we have been in trauma so long and in trauma and in this repair mode so long in our community that we no longer recognize when we are in crises because we've made trauma and all of that the norm of our existence. And we all know that a trauma response is very different from a healthy response once we are in tune with our emotional intelligence in that. And so we are doing more trauma responses as opposed to having these emotional intelligent responses that's based on truth, that's based on let's reason together, that's based on we can dare get along, and let's try and not just to we can agree to disagree and still love each other. Yes. Man, listen, the time always goes too fast and everything. Before we go, give us at least 2 to 3 points that you would like to leave our audience with on how to deal with trauma in their lives and how can we continue to follow you. Dr. S., 2 to 3 responses on what we can do differently and how we can respond to this trauma and how we can continue to follow you. And share with us your books because they're going to it's Christmas time. We need to get your books, brother. We need to get your books.
Again, thank you so much, James, brother. Excellent. Marty, as always. I want to say this. We repeat what we don't repair. We repeat what we don't repair. But one of the issues in that process of repeating what we don't repair is in order to repair something, you need to have the right tools. And when you're in a situation or in a system in which the right tools are being withheld from you, then you have to go to that place of courage and exploring to seek the right tools. And one of those tools is the power of vulnerability and the importance of expressing your feelings and healing. And I want to say this. You deserve to heal. A lot of times we don't even think healing belongs to us. We don't even know what it looks like. We never even accessed it. Nobody gave it to us. But I want to start by telling our young men, our young sisters, you deserve to heal. And healing begins with awareness. People think they have to go super deep for healing. Healing is the notion that first, I'm aware that there's something available for me that's better than what I currently have and what I'm currently experiencing. That is the beginning of healing. The mindset is that it's available for me. And if it's available for you, then you can access it. And together, let brothers that look like you, people that are in spaces to help you, let us be able to guide you. You have the power within to help this healing take place. We can do this together. Solidarity is key. And people can find me on social media on Instagram, doc_s, and then at Mental Hop as well. And I'll tell you about the books, Marty, because I always forget. Good Mornings, Wake Up Calls for Life. Good Mornings, Wake Up Calls for Life, available on all platforms, Amazon, and Good Vibes with Dr. S is the other book as well. And I appreciate the love and support. And I love conversations like this. We need more of this. This is powerful in itself. So I thank you so much for this platform. And thank you so much, Brother James.
Thank you.
Beautiful work, man. I love you guys.
Likewise, likewise. James, all your great work that you continue to do, your podcast, everything that you do out there, brother, in Nashville, we're changing the narrative of black men. Talk to us, two to three things you want to share with us, and how do we continue to follow you, my brother?
Man, Marty, I want to be mindful of your time because we got to get out of here. But I'm just going to leave you one thing, man. Fellas, we got to do better. I mean, just like when we were playing football, just when we was playing basketball, and the coach pulled us to the side and said, "Hey, look, you're not giving it your all right now." A lot of us, we have to do better. We know that, man, this is not the destination of where our current society and our state of our culture is right now. So do better. You know, sometimes you have to go and look at your mirror and say, "What can I do?" Get you a piece of paper and a pen and write down, like, okay, where am I at right now? Set a goal. And then also, as you had a wide receiver coach, as you had a two-guard coach, man, get them to help you along that journey so that you can go further than you can go by yourself. These are some of the things that we have to do, practical steps. It doesn't take much. You know, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Sometimes it's a cup of coffee, or sometimes it's this man visiting with someone. But the thing is that going forward, do better. You can find me right now. I want to push out. We got a conference, great conference coming out next month.
Yes, it is. Yes.
It's Let's Have Manversations, www.letshavemanversations.com/conference. It's where a collective of men, Super Bowl champions, other great therapists and everything, we're coming together and we're having conversations just like this and giving something back to our communities. We give them the trusted ones. We're giving them roses while they're still with us, honoring those, man, brothers, and those are in our communities, barbers, beauticians, whoever. The fact is that we're celebrating, we're empowering, and man, it's going to be awesome, man. So check that out, www.letshavemanversation.com, December the 2nd, Huntsville, Alabama.
Huntsville, Alabama. Brother, if I wasn't officiating a wedding, you know, I was going to be there and everything. But brother, listen, please let us know the next one. I have Dr. S's books. Listen, Daryl, put me on a solo shot so we can see Dr. S's books. Listen, this is Good Vibes with Dr. S, and also Good Mornings, the Wake Up Calls for Life. These books are great books. We're looking for how you can support Black-owned businesses. Get these books. These are great books to give as Christmas gifts and everything. We want to help put money in these authors' pockets. Get these books. Dr. S, do we go to YouTube or do we go to your YouTube? Do we go to Amazon or do we go to your website? I want to put the most money in your pocket, so I know it's going to your website. We're definitely going to do that. How do we go to your website to get this?
People could go to drsconyerspeaks.com, or you could go to Amazon as well. Either one to access the books. If you go to drsconyerspeaks.com, you get a signed copy of those books too. I sign every copy and send it out myself. So that's the best way to get it from me. And I pour all that information, those resources back into the community with the mental health program. We do a lot of free symposiums for young people all throughout the year, and I love doing that as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's how we give back. Man, I can't thank both of you guys enough for coming on here. We barely scratch the surface, but we got to have these conversations about how do we help our young Black men, our young Black prince and kings, and how do we make sure that they are heading in the right direction and heal from a lot of the trauma that they go through. Now, we never want to leave you here without having access to where you can get some help. Definitely Dr. Sconiers and Brother James, future Dr. Bush. Listen, they have resources. You can reach out to them. They do. We love cash. Cash is always king. We'll set you up a nice little payment plan if you need some help. But if you're experiencing any type of crises whatsoever, you can type crises to 741-741. You can go to Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Men, Good Therapy, as well as Marcel Consulting, or dial 988 if you're looking for mental health resources. I got to give a shameless plug to what I do also myself. It is the holiday times, and if you're looking for great gifts to give, we have some resources available for you on mental health mentalhealthmarty.com. I know, Daryl, I never go there. So please check out our website at mentalhealthmarty.com and look / one of those two slashes and go to shop. We have a wonderful journal out there for you that is the Stop the Stinking Thinking Journal. It's a journal of positive affirmations. Please get your hoodies as it's getting cold out there. Black Mental Health Matters, or Black Men Matter. Yes, we do. You got it in a hoodie. You got it in a t-shirt. We want you to go out there and support us during this time. In this journey called life, we don't want you to continue to secretly suffer in silence in the shadow of shame. But you know what I always say every week? We want you to speak up, speak out, and live so that you might be able to enjoy your best life. Join us next week as we continue the conversation about Black men's mental health in the month of November. God bless, and we'll see you next week. Take care.